Yeah. So, but the point is, he's had the girls, he's had the fame, he's had the properties, he's been to the parties, he's had the money. How the hell are you going to, like, does he want to be, if he's worth $2.5 billion right now?
He's not.
Let's just say he's worth, well.
He's not. He's a total loser. He's almost bankrupt.
Wow.
What's happening, everybody? Patrick Bet David recently had Cenk Uygur on his show, the PBD podcast. The relatively amicable conversation heated up quickly when Patrick Bet David refuted Cenk Uygur's assertion that Donald Trump is a loser. With that said, let's watch Patrick Bet David crush progressive genius Cenk Uygur with, you guessed it, facts, not feelings. Let's go.
He's had all the girls, one too many sometimes, okay? Some that he was single, some that he wasn't single. He's had all the money. He's been to all the parties. He's got all the letters from all the most powerful people in the world telling him how much they love him. Alec Baldwin, no one ever treated me like this. Oprah Winfrey, you know that book he wrote about all the letters that others wrote for him that now they hate him. Chuck Schumer used to love me. He used to love me when this, that, you know, that whole talk that he gave at the joke.
And he's right about that part.
Yeah, so, but the point is, he's had the girls. He's had the fame. He's had the properties. He's been to the parties. He's had the money. How the hell are you going to, like, does he want to be, if he's worth $2.5 billion right now?
He's not.
Let's just say he's worth, well.
He's not. He's a total loser. He's almost bankrupt.
Well, okay. So you can say that, and that's fine. But
you can't say he's a loser.
But
total loser.
But if you say he's bankrupt, you can say that can be your opinion. But the last 60 years, or the last 50 years proves you wrong. Okay.
It doesn't. It proves me wrong.
15 years Apprentice was number one. How the hell are you that entertaining to be number one for 15 years, right? You know, financially, real estate properties, when you think about a real estate name brand, you think about one name. You don't think about 50 different names. You think about a guy that's been able to brand himself, you think about Trump. Now, are you going to buy Trump steak? Probably not. But you're going to buy...
Neither did anyone else.
Neither did but the point is, he's had great victories. He's got kids that are doing well for themselves. He's got a daughter that, you know, has
so does
done...
Biden.
Yeah. That was a different angle you took. But where I'm going with this is, that's the part where I feel they can't stand the guy because they cannot control him. So for me, when I see, you know, what's going on with them wanting to get rid of this guy, and you're like, look, the big donors don't want to give him money. Look how much money he got. No, he can't raise any money. Nobody wants to give him any money. And look at this stuff. Yeah, but the people that are raising money are the people that are not being trusted because they're part of the establishment, left or right. A lot of people are saying. This is why guys like RFK are getting some momentum. This is why guys like Vivek are getting some momentum. Because Vivek's got his own money. RFK's coming out doing some grassroots stuff. So what are your thoughts on this with Trump?
Yeah. So first of all, with Trump, look, the guy's got insatiable greed. So I don't buy that, oh, he's had enough. He's never had enough, okay? Number two, he's a natural born loser. He's lost at everything except two things. Obviously, he won the...
Hey, if you like watching videos like these, like, subscribe, and blah, 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 blah. Let's get back to the video.
Presidency in 2016. Yeah, he lost the popular vote, and Democrats cry about that. And they should. The Electoral College is terrible. It's a disaster. But he won the Electoral College. He won it, right? So you give him that for sure. And he's great at marketing. Just blah, 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 Trump, 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 Trump. And Democrats don't get it. They're such knuckleheads. They're like, oh, if we have an accomplishment, we should whisper about it on NPR. No, you should scream at the top of your lungs like Trump does. But having said that, bankrupt 6 times, got clowned in 2020, and he's been crying about it ever since, like a little spoiled brat. Had to have his dad get him into the schools that he got into. He hides his grades from high school and college because he's a loser. He's a spoiled little baby. He blew $413 million from his dad, blew it all. Then he got $400 million from Apprentice. Why was that successful? Because of the producers. I know the producers on that show. They had to treat him like a baby. Hey, baby, come here. Baby, say this.
There's the same producers have done shows that flopped.
Yeah,
you know,
but they were also the same producers who did other number one hits.
It is so hard to keep a number one hit show for 15 years.
But if you want to say Trump is entertaining, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's pretty good at marketing, right? And he says these terrible things, but people laugh, right? And I get it. And you know his giant strength that people don't talk about, and no one in mainstream media acknowledges this. He doesn't look fake. I think he's a con man, and he's been a con man his whole life. But he looks authentic because he doesn't go off a prompter. And you think, well, that's a real guy. He's saying crazy crap that nobody else would say. And all the other politicians look like actors. They're robots. They come out like Pete Buttigieg came out from a factory. Everybody knows that, right?
Cenk, if Donald Trump is a loser, then what are you? Most people, if given 2 lifetimes, couldn't accomplish a tenth of what Donald Trump has in his life. You can say you don't like the guy. That's very clear. But to say he's a loser is ridiculous. These are the kind of things that Cenk Uygur says that makes me always ask the question, does he believe what he's saying? Because what he's saying, it's objectively true that Donald Trump, of all things, is not a loser. He's a lot of things. You can call him rude, uses inflammatory language, maybe he's a jerk sometimes, says inappropriate things sometimes. But to call him a loser, it's just so provably not true. With most human beings, you can probably argue, is this person a loser or not, when you look at everything they've done in their life. And the answer would be in the eye of the beholder somehow. And Cenk's Trump derangement syndrome is so bad that even when he is attempting to look like he's being objective and gives Trump a compliment, he says he's really good at marketing. All he does is say, Trump, 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 blah, 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 blah. By doing that, he's minimizing what a good marketer he is and the one compliment that he's giving him, right? If it was easy as screaming your name and blah, 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 everyone would do it. I mean, let's put this in perspective. If we're comparing people on life success, business success, family success, I'm a loser compared to both Patrick Bet-David and Cenk Uygur. That may be the most depressing sentence I've ever uttered in my entire life. Not the Patrick Bet-David part, the rest of it. But it's true, man. I mean, it's just all relative. But if it is all relative, Cenk, who is a successful business person, hasn't achieved 1% of what Donald Trump has achieved in his lifetime. You see the difference between you and me, Cenk? When I don't like someone, I can acknowledge things that they're good at, successes that they've had. You're not able to do it. Even when you try to give a compliment, you can't help but minimize it. And then actually later, he's mentioning his marketing again. He says, I said he's a pretty good marketer. So again, now he's taking it down from a great marketer to pretty good. And he mentioned how Donald Trump, when he does have an accomplishment, he blasts it all over the news and lets everyone know about it. And he said, when the Democrats have an accomplishment, they say it quietly on NPR. I swear to you, I was really trying to think, like, what accomplishments? So I thought of a time when the Democrats put on like a big display to show an accomplishment. And all I can picture is stupid Nancy Pelosi kneeling in like a dashiki and African garb because they were standing with Black Lives Matter, which turned out to be one of the biggest scams in our lifetime. So it's not that the Democrats don't try to blast their perceived successes everywhere that they can and make a big spectacle of things. They just don't know what success looks like. The things they think are good or successful or accomplishments are things the other side is laughing at. Anyway, I got plenty more to say about Cenk's take here, but he's got a lot of more outrageous things to say. And PBD's about to make some good points too. So we'll watch the rest of the video and I'll wrap it up.
Gavin Newsom, but also DeSantis and McConnell. They're all robots. They come in, I will do this. I have been told by my donors this is great policy, right? And so he has the feelings of authenticity. But if you look at his records, like you said, great in real estate, he's awful in real estate. In Atlantic City, he built 3 casinos. Everybody said, you're going to cannibalize it, you moron, your own business. And one of his top assistants says he just likes his name in lights. So he'd like to see Trump, Trump, Trump in Atlantic City, and he bankrupted all 3 because he sucks at business.
You think you're good in business?
Yes.
You think you're good in business?
Yes.
Cenk.
Yes.
Seriously.
100%.
Okay, so when's your birthday, by the way? What month's your birthday? Let me see. March 30, 21st. Okay. Yeah. You're Pisces.
Aries, beginning of Aries.
Oh, you made it to Aries.
Yes.
Interesting. My dad's in Aries. I get along with Aries. Okay. So he's on April 10th. So you barely are in Aries, though, by one day, right?
Beginning of the
Interesting.
spring.
Okay.
You made the cut, man.
Yeah,
you made it.
So, okay. Bro, when you say that, for me, I feel like if there's anybody that would be like a pro-Trump guy in a confusing way, it would be you. Okay, I know this is like, this guy's lost his mind. You have no clue who the F I am. Are you crazy? There's no way. Because in business, do you have a perfect record with business? No. Do I have a perfect record with business? No.
Nobody does. Yeah.
Nobody does. But, has Trump taken it to certain levels that his dad didn't take it? Yeah, that's not easy to do. His dad wasn't as famous as this guy got. It's a very hard work to do that. There's a lot of kids that are spoiled kids from a rich father who don't do shit with the money, and they become crack addicts, and they become drug addicts, and they hire prostitutes all the time, and they go try to sell their laptops at different places, and they, I'm not saying about anybody specific, but this happens every once.
Saying it about somebody specific.
This kind of stuff does happen every once in a while, right? There's stories like that you hear. Us like, oh, okay, this guy's going to make it. This guy's not going to make it. So there is something about him. One can say John F. Kennedy became a president because of his father, Joseph Kennedy, because okay, fine. And Joseph Kennedy became successful because his dad had all this money from. Okay, fine. Okay. There's some of it that's got to go to the credit of the individual. Perfect. So if I listened to you and I didn't know who you were, okay, and I just came to America and I've heard about this Trump guy and I've heard about the Biden guy, and I'm listening to you, I would say that guy is angry at Trump for what reason? He's either envious of Trump, he's angry with him because he sounds personal. He doesn't sound like he's being reasonable. He sounds he's being personal when he's attacking Trump. And I think he loses credibility a little bit for taking the angle that he does. Because you're coming from a place of saying this guy got this much money and he became rich because of this, and he's a loser, he's a this. The guy was on Oprah Winfrey, 1988. And Oprah Winfrey says, so, hey, you sound like somebody you've seen this, you sound like somebody that's going to run for office one day. No. Well, do you have any plans? No, but if I ever did, I would win. Who the hell says that? That's like a Babe Ruth call. When you say, I'm going to hit the home run, you point the finger and you hit it. His book crushed it. His show crushed it. He crushed it in New York going up against all these other guys. He's done good with women. He's done good with his kids. He became a president. I don't know, love him or hate him. I don't have a relationship with him. So there is not like I'm defending this guy, I'm doing it. We're in Florida because of DeSantis. We came here because all of a sudden DeSantis, I'm watching him market. I'm like, dude, you're not even out there doing your part marketing. Finally, he's getting to it, and now everybody's asking a question that they shouldn't be asking you, which is what? Why are you so down on the polls? Can you make a comeback? You should have never allowed these people to ask that question if you would have played offense earlier. But when you see a winner and complicated individual, a misunderstood individual, I don't know how many people you're going to put on the list as Trump in the history of America, by the way. Whether you love this guy or hate this guy, it's kind of tough to, demonize the guy's resume. And I know you like to do this, but it's kind of tough to do it.
Not remotely tough.
You think so?
So, Pat, look, I'm giving you nuanced answers. I'm telling you that he's anti-establishment in some ways, and that's part of his appeal.
Right.
I'm telling you he's good at marketing, and almost everything you're saying is he's good at marketing. He was good on TV. He was good at marketing his book. He went on Oprah. It's marketing.
No, you said he wanted two things, and what I did is I showed his resume. That's more than two things. It's a bunch of different things that he wanted. That was my defense to you saying he only wanted two things, not the marketing side.
Pat, imagine if your dad gave you $413 million.
Which we don't know that's the number, but you're saying $413 million.
Yeah, New York Times says this was $413
New York Times also said science is,
New York Times,
I have to take the
New York
COVID
Times
or
has
else.
also lied about me. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, but his dad was enormously wealthy and
There's no
gave him
question
an
about it.
enormous
Sure.
fortune,
Yeah.
and which he lost.
413 by today's standards, or what was it back then? What was the actual?
14 million is the number
I thought it was
you
like
hear
a-
No way. It's look, I forget. I think it's by today's standards, but I'm not positive.
it
Okay,
could have been 413
but it's not
back
14 to 413. That's not how inflation works. So, but Pat, if they gave it to you, you'd probably be worth $4 billion by now.
I don't know about
Okay,
that. I don't
come
know.
on,
No,
it's such an enormous
Cenk,
advantage.
do you have kids? Cenk, do you have kids?
Yes.
What are you talking about, bro?
I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but every time Cenk talks, I cannot help but ask, is this guy serious? Like, I always say, does he believe the stuff that's coming out of his mouth? But does he have a total lack of self-awareness, or is he playing a character for the camera? I can't tell. And I really mean that. That's no shade. Like, I don't know. Because if he's playing a character, it's brilliant because it gets him clicks and makes him money, But also, if he just has a complete lack of self-awareness, I've said this my whole life. Like, when you see someone that's like goofy or dopey or whatever adjective you want to use. Whatever. There's something about him you're just like, oh, what a goofball. But they have like supreme confidence. Like I usually equate that with a lack of self-awareness. So my entire life I've always said, I'm so envious of someone with a complete lack of self-awareness because you get to go through life aloof. So I could really go down that trail forever. I'm sure that has more to do with my psychology than anyone else's, but I don't know. I'm going to continue to ask this until I have somewhat of an audience besides the two people that most recently commented in my comment section about this very question. I'm going to keep asking everyone to tell me and comment. Is Cenk playing a character or is he just completely lacks self-awareness? So anyway, I tell you, I'm obsessed with this topic, but we'll get back to something more substantive. Like, this kind of does still relate to that, but Cenk said, I'm giving you nuanced answers. That's a nuanced answer. All he did was demonize and say the worst possible things he could say about Donald Trump. Like, there's zero nuance to that. What is he talking about? That's what I mean. It goes back to that same question. I'll stop saying it. But I said in a recent video that Mark Cuban, in my estimation, gosh, I'm going down this psychology rabbit hole again, but try to stay with me. Mark Cuban, I wondered why the heck is he like campaigning for Kamala Harris? I mean, I just can't see like a sane billionaire like spending as much time as he is campaigning for her. And I said, I think it's two things. I think it's jealousy of Donald Trump and an old vendetta when Trump blew him off when he was younger. And I think there's also a projection, like when you see something in someone else that you don't like about yourself. I can't prove this. This is just speculation, but like all the faults you're projecting on someone else, it's because you see them in yourself. I can't think of a specific instance right now, but I'll just relate to myself, so I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But I know I've felt that way, so that's why I speculate on that. And then finally, it's just pure jealousy. Mark Cuban wants what Donald Trump has, and so does Cenk. He'd never admit it, but if you're a business person, you would love to have the accomplishments and successes that Donald Trump has had. So I think Mark Cuban and Cenk are pretty similar. I think it's projection and jealousy. Like, you can't be that obsessed and angry about someone. When I say angry about someone, he says the things he says about him with such vitriol and like real anger. I don't know. I suppose at some point I'll get angry about something somebody says, but the reason I started this channel is just because I find most liberals and leftists like funny, but I don't hate them. I might criticize them. I don't hate them. There's just no vitriol behind the things I say about people. Even Cenk, he's annoying, but I'm grateful for him. It's funny to cover him, you know. Donald Trump is flawed. He's just a human being, just like you and me. He's had a lot more success, and he has flaws. His just are in the spotlight all the time. Every single move he makes is put under a microscope. I can't fathom being remembered or having half of people I meet hate me for my worst day or the worst things I've done. Oh, yeah, and I remember Cenk said Donald Trump says terrible things and everyone laughs at it and it's fine with it. Does he really say terrible things, though? Or are they only terrible if you want them to be, or you're easily offended, or if you're looking to be offended? I mean, I'm sure Donald Trump seems like an absolute monster. If you're an easily offended puss, is anything really worth being offended by? Especially Donald Trump? Surprise, surprise, I got off track again. But my point was, I mentioned that he's a human being with flaws just like all of us. And he's had that success in business and politics, but you can't discount, whether you like him or not, whether you like his family or not, that he's been a great family man too. His kids could have, you know, coasted in life and taken advantage of the fact that they were probably set up for the rest of their lives financially. He has all this stuff in his life, you know, businesses, politics, 15 years as the #1 show. That's unheard of. But through all that, he was a good father. And he always says in interviews that his number one message to his kids was, don't do drugs, don't drink, don't smoke. Even for those of us that like to have a drink now and then, or maybe smoke weed, or maybe smoke a cigarette once in a while, none of those things will contribute to a fulfilling life. They're good escapes. I mean, they have utility. So I think setting that as a foundation as a parent is something to admire. Well, I rambled on longer than I expected to, but I forgot I have to pick up my dashiki from the dry cleaners and head over to a BLM rally to kneel. So that's it for today's show. If you like watching insane people like Cenk Uygur get owned by smart people like Patrick Bet-David, then click on one of the two videos that just popped up on your screen. Otherwise, I really appreciate you being here today, and I really appreciate the couple of people, again, that commented on my last video. It means a lot to me. The end.